So if Israel wants to own the initiative for creativity, that name, Einstein, must be included in it. Synonymous with brilliance, with greatness, with sheer genius, Einstein is Israel's most known and unknown ambassador. So here to solve the Israel-Einstein equation, Consul Gil Lainer. There you go.
Hello, everybody. Okay, think about this. Every speaker on this stage gets you a little closer to lunch, so you should all be encouraged by that. I got to tell you, as if it's not enough to have a clock, being on camera, being on the internet, worrying about putting this thing together with my incredible staff, I also brought into the picture my wife who is here and my in-laws who happen to be in town, as if the pressure without it wasn't enough on me to speak in front of you today. Remembering that lunch part, I'm going to keep the promise Henry VIII gave to his fifth wife. I won't keep you long. Now, we want to talk about Einstein, so let's get going. The challenge. We've talked about research all morning. It's all here. I'll just give you the bottom line. While Israelis perceive Israel as a modern, technologically advanced, creative country, most countries in the world don't do so at all. And the bottom line of it, that Israel is perceived by most countries on the same level as the developing world, such as the Middle East, or the other part of the Middle East, Africa, and other parts of the world. If you want to even touch deeper into it, creativity and innovation are where we find the biggest gaps. Startup nation, this is what we think that we are right here. This is a nice picture of Tel Aviv, downtown, lights, high skyscrapers, highways. It's not what the world sees when it thinks about Israel. You know that already. Where is the startup nation is a good question. By the way, the success of startup nation is sometimes attributed, or could be attributed, to this incredible gap between the perceptions and reality, or between the perception Israelis have of themselves and the rest of the world does. The solution is what is called a sub-brand. One of the best ways to close the mentioned gap is by using a sub-brand. A sub-brand could be a person, a product, a place, a celebrity. And I've brought in a few examples here of countries very similar to Israel, like Sweden and Finland, in which you can see ABBA, Nokia. And when I say Brazil, to me it's Pelé. I'm sure there are others with other thinking on their mind right now. In our case, one of the most popular and least used brands in the world left all its property and endowment and heritage to the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and we're yet to do anything with it. And that's, of course, always this guy. You cannot have an Einstein presentation without this picture. We will continue. Now, many people don't know this, but Einstein was first and foremost a great Zionist. His devotion to Zionism became, almost lost in history. But here it is, and I can, share with you the bullets here. 1923, Albert Einstein visits the Holy Land, lectures, has the inaugural lecture at the Hebrew University. He is the one that, in fact, helped raise the money to build that university. Hence the connection, many years later, to be manifested by him giving his entire estate to the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. Number 1952, David Ben-Gurion offers Albert Einstein to become the next president of the State of Israel. He declines. He wanted to continue his research. And of course, the last fact, before Israel's 7th independence celebration, he was supposed to give a celebratory speech. He did not complete that speech, and you can see here, he was rushed to the hospital, unfortunately. He made sure to take the speech with him, but his situation deteriorated, and he passed away without completing that speech. The manuscript still exists somewhere. And of course, the last and ultimate proof, you can see here, Einstein with David Ben-Gurion. This was taken in the early 50s, as where they were waiting to get their hair done somewhere in New York. This is what he said at the inaugural lecture of the Hebrew University in 1923. I consider this the greatest day of my life. Today I have been made happy by the sight of Jewish people learning to recognize themselves. And it goes on and on. In the name of time, I will not fully read it to you. Now, the question is, what can we do about it? How can we, beyond the realm of people who celebrate Pi Day, how many people here know when Pi Day is in the year? Okay, you get a pocket protector when you go out. March 14th is International Pi Day, and in 2005 it was also announced the International Year, I think, of Physics. It all had to do, of course, with Einstein's theory of relativity. So, a series of national projects under one umbrella in order to strengthen the association link between the scientists and the State of Israel. We have the National Albert Einstein Museum, Einstein Creativity Hall of Fame, Einstein Institute, and the International Einstein Award. The National Albert Einstein Museum. The idea, as you see in a nutshell here, build a museum in Jerusalem, either using an existing space in Hebrew U or just building a new one from scratch, formulate a working program, putting all the Israeli authorities and the ministries together to do it. It's quite a process, quite an effort, and I can tell you that it's already started, and we will talk about that towards the end of the presentation. Einstein Creativity Hall of Fame. All right, let's stop for a second and talk a little bit about halls of fame. Name me a hall of fame. Anybody? Something. Okay, basketball, baseball was mentioned here. Okay, basketball, a perfect example of the first kind. Springfield, Massachusetts. This is the birthplace of basketball, right? Baseball is in New York, birthplace of baseball, right? Wrong. That's a wrong answer. Some entrepreneurs in Cooperstown decided they wanted to have something, so they built this idea that baseball was invented in Cooperstown. It is now known that it is not a true historical fact, but it doesn't matter because over 1 million people every year go to Cooperstown to see the Baseball Hall of Fame. And that's the idea. The idea, as mentioned here, is to build something. And of course, there's also the story about the Hall of Fame of fishing, but I'll spare you that because there was a big dispute, and now there's like 3 or 4 of them, each dedicated to a separate fish. There's a Hall of Fame for bass fishing and some others. Let's not go into that. If you want to go to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, you can watch and see it for your own eyes. However, the idea, as mentioned here, is to present all Israeli scientific achievements, technological innovations, etc., in one place and celebrate it all together. Somewhere where tourists will come in Israel. Now, this should not be a government endeavor, obviously. It could be some sort of a non-for-profit. It could be a consortium. It could be a high-tech company that could take over that. And, of course, bringing into life and bringing into play again the so-called startup nation or the startup miracle of Israel. And, of course, the most important and significant thing out of them all, the decision regarding the inclusion of an invention into that should be done by a panel of experts and renowned scientists. So we will find the people, they will bring it in. Speaking of which, Tal Brody, also inducted into the International Hall of Fame with us here tonight. I was actually with you, 2 years ago at that particular event. So if you go to Long Island, there's a plaque with Tal's name over there with other great athletes. The Einstein Institutes. Okay. Albert Einstein. It's a big name, right? How big is it here? Very big. Do you want to know where it's really big? In Asia. In Asia, Albert Einstein is bigger than Elvis. He's really bigger than sliced bread. Or perhaps the best things is sliced bread, I should say. Sliced sushi, whatever you want. Many nations take advantage of the fame of their existing style brands, and they spread the core values of the country brand through them. We've had 2 examples here, the Goethe Institute, the Cervantes Institute, there is the British Council, there is the Alliance Française, there is a variety of them. Most of them circulate around language and culture. We want to have an added component in here. So the thought is to build 5 of these in 5 major cities. You can see them for yourself here in Asia. And then studies of creativity and nurturing creative thinking in addition to the traditional Hebrew studies, Jewish philosophy, and culture. The idea is to have permanent exhibitions, access to database, creativity, innovation, workshops, scholars in residence, etc. I won't go into it because I'm running out of time. Even though I call the shots and the clock, I'm still running out of time. Last and not least, the International Einstein Award. Hebrew University established an international prize in honor of Einstein. Have you heard of it? No, neither have I. Bill Gates was the first one to receive it in New York a few years ago. I don't think if he remembers that he received it. Not to take anything away from it, of course. The prize, the idea is to change the prize. The prize should be upgrade it, I guess is the best word for it, adopt a different model, transfer center of gravity from the recipients and from the award itself to the judges. The idea is to build a panel of judges that will allow us to celebrate this. It will be given in Jerusalem and nowhere else in the world. So who wouldn't want to get a prize in which the judges would be Bill Gates, Larry Ellison, Mark Zuckerberg, and others. There you go. I told you we're on the right track. May 20th, this year, I'm sorry, Cabinet approved the establishment of the Albert Einstein. It's hard, Albert Einstein Museum. Prime Minister Netanyahu. Not just a tourist matter. This is an issue of a greater importance and volume. That's it. This, by the way, is from Legoland in Orlando. If it's good enough for Legoland, it should definitely be good enough for us. Thank you very much.